You're listening to the Jōrni Podcast. What does a Sha medium do, and how can elemental healing help with your mental health? Find out in today's episode. Hi, I'm Petra Brunbauer, and with decades of experience with sadness, pain, anxiety, and stress, I finally figured out how to leave all that behind. And this podcast shows you how to break free permanently so you can reclaim your sanity and find the self-esteem and energy to go after the life you desire. With real talk about mental health, holistic healing, and the tough journey of coming out the other end. This is the Jōrni Podcast. Welcome to today's episode, and I have a really special guest lined up for you. I will be speaking with Tonya Dee, who is a Holistic Sha Medium. And for those of you who don't know what a Sha Medium does, she incorporates both the Shamanistic and the medium aspects for practical intuition and spiritual assistance with the healing journey. Tonya has been in the intuitive healing realm for the majority of her life. And at the very young age of 7, she had a near-death experience and was in a coma for some time. When she came out of the coma, she realized that she had some amazing new gifts and life was very different. Tonya teaches people to see things a little differently through the eyes of Source, so you too can utilize your intuition and connect to the innate healing skills you naturally embody. And in this episode, she will be telling us how the elementals can be incorporated into your healing, and she will also take us through a wonderful elemental meditation. So without further ado, here is my interview with Tonya Dee. Hi, Tonya. It's so great to have you on the podcast today. I've been looking forward to getting to chat with you because you're in such a fascinating space of holistic healing. So welcome to the Jōrni Podcast.
Oh, so grateful that you're having me. I'm ecstatic inside. I can feel the bubblings in my belly.
That's amazing. And you've certainly had a very interesting journey already. So how did you get into this profession? Can you share a little bit about yourself and your journey?
Yeah, I call it, I was blessed with death at the age of 7. And if you know anything about numbers and age, 7 is where we start connecting to the realm of spirit a little more as we go through time and space. So I was 7 years old and I went into the realm of spirit. I was in coma for a while. And then I came back into this dimension and I didn't see things as everyone else was. The average Joe's normal was not my normal. I had a new normal. So I really felt quite alone and lost. I started speaking in tongues. I was writing people's names in different languages. I was seeing tears in the universe. I was communicating with animals. And
Wow.
I grew up in a small town and I really didn't have anyone to talk to but nature.
Mm-hmm.
So nature was my habitat for healing.
Wow, that sounds like such an interesting journey. I can imagine that was probably a little bit scary too, coming out the other end and having all these changes happening to you. So how did you cope with that?
Well, for me, it was that was my normal. I think it was harder for other people to cope with it more than myself. So I spent more time in nature and with not just nature itself, but the animals and the beings of nature. I was having telepathic conversations with the beings that are in other dimensions and worlds, the Fae, the Contomble. There's little keepers of the wild and whatnot. So that's kind of how I did. I just, my playground was another dimension more than like other school kids, their dimension of playing ball and whatnot. So I would participate, but oftentimes when I would have visions and see things, it scared people. So I tended to not do that anymore, except for myself.
Right. Yeah, I can see that other people may be wondering a little bit what's going on. So, wow. And you were so young. You were only 7 years old when that happened. So that's quite the change to see your world like that and not have other people around you understand that. So you told me a little bit about what you do, and I was wondering if you want to tell the listeners about what you do as a holistic Sha medium, because maybe there are some people out there that haven't really heard that term before.
Yes. So, like I said, I've been seeing auras my entire life. I kind of had to figure this out on my own. There wasn't the internet when this was happening. I couldn't get to a bookstore, especially like a metaphysical kind. So, my journey, I had to learn all these processes on my own and basically journal and take notes because there were just different times where I would call out an adult for lying as my child self because I knew they were lying. Like I'd been to the other world. So I knew it was like, no, that's not true. Um, that was an experience I had. I was 8 years old. Um, and my mom had taken me to a spiritual person, a religious spiritual person to clarify. And I don't even remember what he said, but I remember looking him right in the face and saying, that's not true. And my mom was like, don't say that, whispering. And I was like, but it's not true, Mom. So I had to kind of navigate differently that way. And I would hear my spirit guides were always with me. Like I have one that's with me all the time. And then what's interesting is every year I go back into the other world at the time that my accident happened, and I come back at the time I came out of my coma. So, and when I say time, time is fluid. It's not the same.
Mhm.
So it's either a few days before the incident or a few days after because it's flowing. It's fluid, if that makes
Wow.
sense.
That's, well, to some people, that might be quite a different idea as to how they view the world. But I think that makes sense, especially if you're talking about the spirit realm and the elementals and the changes that you've experienced. And you obviously see the world a little bit differently than most of the people on this planet. And so when you see the world through the realm of the spirit and the elementals, maybe do you want to give a little bit of an explanation to our listeners what that means or what that looks like so they can get an idea as well? You mentioned a bit that you connect to nature and you spend time there, but maybe some people aren't very familiar with what elementals are.
So there's elementals, like the elements, and then there's elemental beings, and those are the beings that live in that part of nature.
Hmm.
So traditionally, when we talk about the elements, there's the five elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. But energetically, there's so much more. There's a derivative outside of that. And I connect all of these elements with the subtle bodies, subtle body centers known as the chakras. So, energetically, when I tune into somebody, I can know what elemental that is needed to transform a condition that's happening. So, when you think about the elements in the body, like what do you think of? Most people are probably going to even wonder what I'm even talking about. But the elemental body and the elements, we're part of nature. They're an aspect in each and every one of us that we're actually divinely connected to, whether we're aware of it or not. And our body speaks a different language. And it doesn't matter what element. So, nature is an element of being authentic, it's transformation, it's change. These are the keepers of the wild that live in the realm of nature. Where fire, the beings of fire, that is the other world, that is source, that is our dreams, that is our visions. And the world of mineral or metal is how we communicate. It's being a conduit, like metal, right? Metal is a conduit for sending messages through different airways. Where water's the conduit of where we find our peace and our reconciliation and our forgiveness and streams of shape shifting when you think about the many forms that water can take on. Where the earth is the bounty of flesh. It is nurturing. It's where we belong. It's what we identify with. And we all have these little bits and pieces within each and every one of us. And just navigating that story really so people authentically climb into their skin. And of course, there's opposing forces. I call them forces of adversity. that come in, and energetic hiccups. That's when somebody's having a hiccup, they're hitting a wall, and usually it's one of the elementals that is imbalanced. So you need to bring that center stage, if that makes sense.
Okay. Wow. Thank you so much for explaining that. I think that makes great sense. And I remember when we first spoke, you told me that I should spend more time with water or in water. So, does that have a particular meaning for somebody when you kind of see that they need to spend more time with water?
Yeah, so water is also about getting in the flow. When people are not in flow, then their elemental water becomes disbalanced. And different things get us out of the flow of life. Being authentic, being true to who our soul is, that's nature. So going to nature and literally connecting with a tree and a being in a tree really helps recalibrate our soul and our spirit to become authentic, to transform and to change and know it's okay to change. Where if I send somebody to either stones or metals or crystals, that's a total different frequency, and the body will call for it naturally, organically, intuitively. And that's about using our voice, to speak our truth. It's also our throat center. So these little physical things in our world resonate with subtle energies in our body to help them get into the flow. So if somebody isn't authentically speaking their truth, or they don't like being in community, that's the very thing that their body needs to bring it to balance.
Wow, there's so many important things that you're touching on there. Just in what you said with being in touch with nature, also being in touch with your authenticity. And especially since this is a podcast about mental health and holistic healing, I would imagine that there are also many ways that you can utilize this process to help with sadness or depression or anxiety and stress. Do you work with people in that way also?
Yes, so depression is part of it is living in the past. So going to the water and getting into the frequency of water and letting go of what's holding you back from being the star that you are. The waters recalibrate the frequencies of our body, whether it's ocean water, salt water, right? Taking a hot salt bath, water in the shower, standing out in the rain. They all carry different frequencies to cleanse our essence of who we are. So depression is something that holds us, it could hold us even in another timeline, another lifetime, because we have to recalibrate that frequency to be literally climb in our skin. A lot of people get, I call it getting stuck in your toe and not in your heart. So it's like about elevating and getting out of that toe space and into your heart space, and knowing that creator, source energy, the galaxy, great spirit, whatever you want to call it, that you are divinely connected through love. And just saying that out loud, that I am connected to source, and holding your left hand on your heart changes the entire field. So when you're feeling depressed or stressed or whatever it is, emotions, the emotional field is huge and vast. Like that's a whole, I could do an entire journey just on emotions. But
We'll have to meet
just
up again.
literally connecting to your heart, left hand on
Mhm.
heart, and saying, I am connected, and stating that out loud, especially when you feel like you're not connected, because source energy is always with us, whether it is the great spirit, source, the goddess, an angel, an animal totem, a wedame, a being from another dimension, and connecting and having that relationship. These little beings jump for joy literally when we reach out and ask them for assistance, whatever that looks like. So that's how I kind of play with the elementals. I do what's called cowrie shell divinations, and people move the shells. It's a process, depending on what they're coming to me for. And the shells speak the language, and then I give them an offering or a prescription, a medicine, but it's of the nature kind, to come to the forces of adversity to dissipate it.
Wow, that's really, really interesting. And I haven't worked with this type of healing before, so I could imagine that our listeners will be very interested in finding out more about that and actually adding this possibly to their healing journey. And we also spoke about doing an elemental meditation. So, are you up for doing a short meditation on this podcast episode?
Oh, absolutely.
Cool. So I'm just going to put that out there that if you are somewhere safe, just take a few minutes to get comfortable, shut out any distractions, turn off your phone. And if you're driving or operating any kind of machinery, then please come back and listen to this meditation when you can be in a safe space. We want everyone to be really relaxed and not have any kind of accidents. So just putting that out there. And Tonya, take it away.
Yeah. Okay. So I work with the elemental realm, the subtle bodies, and into what I call the imaginal realm. And each realm is really a foundational stepping stone to healing what ails you. So I'm going to go from the elementals to the cosmos and back. And in the elemental cosmology, we literally do come from the fires, and then we enter into the waters and we become flesh, the earth, and we communicate mineral, metal, and then we have vitality, which is found in nature. But again, we also have other elementals like air, star, ether, stone, sound, light, and more. And each of these elementals, they play a vital role in our energy frequency, our frequency key, and more, whether it's intuition, our psychic abilities, our subtle energies and knowings. So in this mini meditation, I'm not going to go through all of the elements, just kind of the main ones.
Mhm.
So one other quick note is a lot of times we are told to ground into the earth plane. I don't want you to do that. I want you to feel the earth. I just want you to feel and taste the earth as a essence of the earth. So we can utilize the elemental realm and the elemental beings in doing this to let go of everyday stress and ignite connection with them and clear the energy and reconcile and just renew and recalibrate for not just the body, but the mind, the soul, and the spirit. So let's just get comfortable and close your eyes. I always like to take an in breath and hold for a count of 3, and then exhale a count of 3. And just visualize yourself in a place in nature that you absolutely love. It just lights up your heart. And just allow your heart, the star that you are, to shine brighter. And it just organically lights up naturally. You feel calm and at ease, and you're centered in your heart, the chalice of inner peace, joy, happiness. And picture the landscape all around you and just get a sense of the energy that allows the beings of nature, the plants, flowers, the trees, to grow. And just welcome the earth into your body, the frequency and the energy of the earth. And focus on the lower half of your body and just imagine yourself becoming truly connected and embraced by the warmth of Mother Earth. Taking a breath, taking a pause. Again, I like to hold for a count of 3. So inhale for 3, hold for 3, and then exhale. But you do you, and as you're breathing, connected to the earth in a nurturing, comforting way, knowing that you belong. Now welcome in the element of water, and maybe imagine the sounds of water nearby, visualizing the flow inside of the waters. Welcoming the flow of water inside of yourself, into your hips, your pelvis, your abdomen, your sacral. And as you take these breaths for a count of 3, the in and the out, just welcome the flow and the ease of energy in your body into your life, clearing the cosmic webbing, reconciling, releasing, And as you see the clear waters of peace, go to the element of fire. Visualize a candle flame, a fire pit, the sun, and see the bright colors of the flame, the colors of a sunset, the yellows, the oranges, the reds, the violets, the deep purples. And welcome the energy of passion into your solar plexus. And as you breathe with each breath, allow the flames to grow brighter, swirling the colors throughout your body, your mind, your spirit, your soul. Visualize the element of air and imagine the sky. Are there clouds? Is there a clear, blue, bright sky? Is there wind? Is it soft or is it strong? Imagine any heaven, emotional energy inside your heart clearing away. And imagine the element of air now bringing fresh, clear energy into your entire body. Breathe, inhaling and exhaling at your own natural rhythm. And as you exhale, welcoming the release that comes with air. Now visualize the element of ether, just bringing our awareness to the forces of energy all around us. And imagine the alchemy of vitality of the essence of all of life that creates everything in existence. Visualize the energy of the stars from which we came from so very long ago, the matrix of the inside of a flower that was once stardust, and the cells of rich, fertile soils that birthed this earth and life into existence. Humans, animals, the seen, the unseen, and so much more. This is all a part of you. So imagine the element of ether, the mystery of the divine, just swirling around you, inside of you, connecting you to the divine spiritual essence of life. And as you take a breath and a pause, breathing in your own natural organic rhythm, deep breaths and full breaths, filling yourself with this alive and expansive vital energy, return to your own breath, into your space in which you're currently sitting or laying down, and just go ahead and reflect on any shifts that you may feel or sense from within. Witness any changes in your perspectives or your attitude, and welcome this fresh energy as you move throughout your day and call forth a positive I am or I will statement that resonates with you. For example, I would say if I'm ready to activate both my fire and my earth energy into my day, it may be something like this, that I am blazing with fire of grounded energy today, and I'm going to ignite my balanced, radiant self in all organic ways. And just repeat your I am statement, your affirmation throughout the day, at least 3 times. Write it down. This literally is bringing things energetically, energy to matter, weaving it in and out throughout your day, especially when you need a reminder and you're feeling maybe the toxic debris of the environment around you. And with that, I say Ashe.
Wow, thank you so much for this beautiful meditation as we're coming back to reality here, coming back, feeling our feet on the ground, shaking our toes and
Yeah.
fingers a little bit. Oh, I was totally absorbed in the meditation. So there's so many emotions in there. I could feel the flowing of the water and then sort of the excitement from the fire burning away old things and connecting with the star energy out there. So different kinds of emotions coming up as we're going through the meditation. And that's a really beautiful healing tool as well, using the elemental meditation. So thank you again so much for taking us through that.
Yeah, blessings. I think, well, a lot of people connecting with the elemental realm physically in the elementals and seeing them in a different light with different eyes is very healing. We know water is emotion, right? But fire has emotion. All of nature has emotion. It's just a different frequency when we feel into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I would love to do a longer meditation sometime with you. That would be great.
Absolutely.
We'll bring you
So,
back.
yeah, right now I have a corridor. I call my online venue a corridor, and in my corridor I have an offer called Soliciting Solitude. And we don't solicit our own inner solitude enough, connecting with our own innate being that resides within us. But the thing I love about this Soliciting Solitude is it's my ever growing online meditation center. I'm always adding new meditations to it. And as a online offer for your listeners, I will be having a offer for you to go along with the meditations for those of you that need a little kickstart to your heart, I guess.
Oh, that's perfect. So I'm just going to let the listeners know again here so that you can get a bonus if you'd like to connect with Tonya and the work that she does. And this is for her Soliciting Solitude program. And you can find a special coupon in the link to Tonya's program. And we're going to put that all into the show notes. So you can find that in there. And you can also connect with Tonya Dee on YouTube, where she does a daily snippet, on Facebook and on Instagram. And we'll link all that up in the show notes as well for you. Well, this has been an incredible episode, and I really hope our listeners have enjoyed the journey into elemental healing as much as I have. And it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast, Tonya. Is there anything in closing off the episode that you'd like to tell our listeners? Anything to do with their healing journey or any last little bits of wisdom for them?
I would say love yourself more. Our world needs more self-love. You know, when we begin to fill our chalice, our heart space full of love to where it's brimming over, we actually flow that love out into the world around us. So I would say look in the mirror and bow every day and give yourself gratitude and thank yourself for being here. You're doing great. You're magical, and be the star that you are.
Oh, I love that. I think a lot of the times we don't give ourselves enough credit and enough self-love and appreciation for what we do every day. So that is a really powerful way to connect with yourself and to connect with the energy around you, is by expressing that gratitude and giving yourself some love. So thank you so much for that.
You're very welcome. And thanks again for letting me play with you today.
Yeah, thank you. I would love to have you back for another episode. So we'll plan that out. And for now, we're going to bring this episode to a close. And we have talked about elemental healing today with Tonya Dee. And we'll be back with another episode in the future. Thank you, Tonya, and take care.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen in. If you enjoy the Jōrni Podcast, please subscribe, share on social media, and leave us a review. And be sure to get your copy of our brand new